Hello, I'm Heather.
And I'm Ryan.
And this is the Politics Free Podcast,
where you can come for a short time each week to get away from the madness of the world,
while we carry on as though nothing important or noteworthy is happening.
So join us for some conversation,
some silliness,
and a game,
while we attempt to put you in a better mood by the end of the episode than you're in right now.
Welcome to our bubble.
Welcome to our bubble. Hey, Ryan, guess what?
Yeah, what's up?
We have our very first special guest in this episode today.
What?
Hello, Koura.
Oh, wait, am I here now?
Yes, you're here now.
Okay, hi.
Welcome. Welcome. We finally made it. It's been a saga. We're not going to repeat the story, but we're here.
They have to buy the bonus CD to get the behind the scenes.
Yeah. Because let me tell you, we could make like 14 episode miniseries on what it took to get this together. Okay. Oh, my goodness. All right. Our special guest today, Koura Linda, she owns a company called Space Dream Productions with her husband. And so I thought, Koura, we'd start by, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you guys do and how you got started with what you do?
So, all right. Yes. So, my husband and I co-own a small independent production company. It's called Space Dream Productions, as you said. And we basically make film and video content and music videos, short films, feature films, commercial content. We do some graphic design work sometimes. And my husband's obviously, everybody knows this. Let me say that again so you can just cut out my idiotness.
Oh no, I'll keep most of it in. I just want to let you know up front.
Awesome. Well, yes. I was saying obviously because he was helping me set up the audio stuff. So I meant right. Obviously you guys know this, not I expect the world to know. So my husband's a singer, songwriter, and musician and music producer. And should I do a fancy plug for him or just say?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Toot his horn. Pat him on the back. Let's do it.
So he is an audio curator for an online open collaborative creative community that's run by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, the actor and director and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, so...
Hit Record, right? That's what it's called?
Yeah, it's called Hit Record.
Okay, cool.
Thank you, because I totally thought that I just said it, and I clearly didn't. And anyway, so my husband is an audio curator for him, and that's actually how we met. And my husband's name is Spaceship. And when I was starting my production company many years ago, I had a more than a little crush on him. And when I heard the story behind his name, it's actually after a Sean Lennon song called Spaceship. Okay. And when I heard it, I was like, you know what? Even if it doesn't go anywhere with this guy, I really like this concept. And I kind of want to name my company with that same inspiration. So that's why we're called Space Dream Productions. Both his name and the company's name go back to the Sean Lennon song. I mean, I don't know how detailed you want me to get. We're a full service production company, so we can take a project from an idea and finish it into a completed film and then either have it sold for distribution or get it streaming on Amazon or, release it into festivals or whatever we want to do with it. If it's a commercial property, for somebody else, we turn it over to them. And then we also do photography stuff sometimes. But everything that goes from, oh, let's make a movie to, oh, here's a movie. We do all of that. Sometimes we do it ourselves, him and me.
Yeah.
And sometimes, depending on the scale of the project or what people, what we need, what other professionals we need to collaborate with, we'll work with other professionals in the industry and different, animators or VFX artists or actors or writers or whatever. Because you're really only as good as your collaborators. So
yeah.
So we do a lot of collaboration. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely. That answered the question. Speaking of projects, you guys My notes disappeared. Come back.
Oh, no.
I just want close the window. Computers.
You can't talk to them yet. We haven't gotten there.
Well, I beg to
Actually,
differ
you
because
can.
you want to know what happened to me this morning?
Oh, no, I don't know. Do I?
Google was like, boop, boop, because I have a Google phone.
Oh,
It just
goodness.
interjected itself into my life. And I was like, go away, Google. Nobody asked you. Out loud, I said that to my Google phone. And Google said, I'm sorry to have disturbed you. I'm sorry. Goodbye. And I was like, no, that did not just happen. I did not just talk to my phone in a conversation. That is too much technology. Far too much technology. Good Lord.
I tried to turn off the Google Voice setting on my husband's phone once. And finally, I don't remember if it was him or me, but one of us goes, and anyone who's listening to this on speaker who has a Google phone is about to get their phone triggered. He goes, okay, Google, stop listening to me. And the phone goes, I do not know how to help you with. Stop listening to me. I'll never forget the first time I said that something was Googleable. And I was like, and it was in like 2000, like long time ago. And the person I said it to, I was like, I mean, I think they're probably Googleable. Like, meaning they were someone of like notoriety that could be found on the internet. Now it sounds kind of dirty, but I'm like, but you know what I mean, right? Like that you can find on the internet.
Yeah.
And now like Googleable is like, oh, that's totally Googleable. Just go look it up. Like it's kind of part of like book. And I'm like, what kind of? There's too many vowels. Like, just stop. It shouldn't. No.
I have never used the word Googleable.
Really?
And now I'm going to. Googleable.
Well,
It's good. It's Googleable.
I mean, Google is a verb.
True.
It is.
Also, while we're talking about Google, did I tell you the story about when I first heard about Gmail? Did I say that on a previous recording? I don't remember.
I don't remember either. You did tell me that story.
When Google first started coming out, you know, and it wasn't super popular, Yahoo was still the popular search engine. But all my friends start popping up with these Gmails. And I just was like, what is this Gmail? Why is everyone using Gmail? And I kept seeing these, and in my head, I was like, that's such a dumb name. Gangster mail? Who, like, what's gangster mail? And then I found out it was Google Mail.
I'm calling it gangster mail from now on.
Please do. So the very first time someone was giving me their email address and they're like, you know, it's blah, 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 blah at hotmail.com. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? I thought it was HOTMALE. And I was like, it was in like a professional situation. So I was trying very hard to keep a straight face and understand why this person had no problem telling me that their email was located at a hotmail.com website. And I was like, okay, like I was very confused.
That was funny. My mother-in-law, like, freaked out on my brother-in-law. He was, gosh, how old was he? Oh man. He was in middle school, and so he had a computer in his room, and we were all in there. He was trying to show us something, and he logged in to Hotmail. And so at the time, Hotmail was the popular email to use. And my mother-in-law was like, Hotmail?
It's how you judge age. What type of email do they have?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, Hotmail? What's this Hotmail? She's from Romania. So there was like, obviously she had the same thought as you. And like, why is my son on this website, Hotmail? And so he was like, no, it's like hot mail.
Real quick, you guys at Space Dream Productions have won quite a number of awards, haven't you, for your films in festivals? Is that correct? 13
you're gonna
awards,
make me actually
30
like work during
nominations.
this?
Yes. You're gonna tell us all about your marvelous awards. You don't want to toot your own
I have
horn.
to actually work on this podcast. Okay. No, I don't. It's weird. So, I mean, I think it's weird that we won so many awards, but well, I mean, no, okay. That's not fair to the people that we've collaborated with who have also earned those awards. Obviously they deserve them. I once, this is something that like I'll get serious for a minute. This is something that I actually like kind of struggle with because it just feels weird to me to like talk about. And I was getting interviewed at a film festival once. It was like the third festival I'd ever been to, third or fourth. And we hit the ground running with our first film. Like when it came out, the very first festival we submitted to, like it wasn't the first festival we submitted to, but we submitted to like a couple of festivals at once. And the very first festival notification was an acceptance, which is crazy.
Does that not normally happen when people submit independent films?
No.
Interesting.
Even our most, like, I remember one person once commented on one of my Facebook posts and he said, "You're really bad at getting rejection letters, aren't you?" And I was like, no, I just don't post about them on Facebook. Like, we had like a grid that I made and I listed out like every single festival we got accepted to. We submitted to like, I don't know, 20 different festivals, like right out the gate. And I think we got into like 5. Like,
oh, nice.
So, I mean, it was nice. It is nice, but like when you're looking at that, I finally took it down. It's just like depressing. Like I would just like cross off. I'm like, this is like just upsetting. I don't want to see this. I just got rid of it. And it used to be a thing where like I would get an email and it would be a festival notification. Like I'd open it. There's been some festivals where I've not gotten in and I've like cried. Like, I'm not going to lie. And there's been some festivals where we get accepted and I'm shocked. And there's been some festivals where we get accepted and I'm happy. Like I didn't know for sure if we were going to get in or not. And then there's been some festivals where we don't get in and I'm like, seriously? Like, not that we're like so great, but like our first film, that like first submission notification that we got was an acceptance at that festival. We were nominated for 3 awards and we won 2 of them, including Best Drama Short and an award for excellence in filmmaking in a major genre. Like out of every single film in the entire festival, our little short film, there was like a short list of like, I think 3 or 4 people out of like whatever 50 films that were playing at this festival that got that award. And yeah, exactly. I was like, what? So at the next festival we won Best Short. And then at the next festival, I won Best Director. So it was kind of getting a little like unreal, like it didn't seem like.
We're friends with an award-winning director, Ryan. Go on. I just wanted to plug that. I'll be name dropping that continuously in my life now. Please continue.
You're absolutely can. You're actually, once you meet my husband, you'll be friends with 2. My husband actually has won 2 Best Director awards.
Fancy.
And I know, right? And it's funny because he's like, I don't want to be a director. I'm like, but you're really good at it. And then he's like, but I'm not. And then he'll like see something and I'll be like, yeah. I'm like, just remember, no matter where you are in life, there is somebody out there doing what you do worse than you do it. And they're getting paid more money than you are. Like, just know that about the world. Like, don't feel guilty because, especially if you're actually talented. All of that to say that, my husband and I have directed and produced. We've directed and produced. It's bad. I've actually lost track, unfortunately. I think it's 15 projects since we released our first film in 2016. We've been nominated for, I think it's 60 awards internationally.
Oh, cool.
We've been shortlisted or got special mentions for, I want to say 4 or 5. maybe 3 or 4. And then we've won, I think it's 24 since our first award in August 2016. So,
Wow.
yeah, we've each won Best Director. We've won a couple of Best Pictures, which is kind of cool. Someone told me very early on, they said, if you want to have a career in film, you always have to be working on something next. Like, people, they don't care what you just did. They want to know what you're doing next. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to have to line up my next. And then we kind of went a little crazy and we made like 15 films in like 3 years. I mean, like film, like short films, music videos, like all of this stuff. We slowed down a little bit in 2020, but we did one. Yeah, what am I talking about? No, in 2020, we did our first episodic and our first feature film, and we won our first 48-hour film project. So that's not even true.
And I was going to ask you about that, actually. What is the 48-hour film project?
The 48-hour film project is you have to, technically from scratch, though apparently there's like a super legit way of cheating, which makes me kind of mad, because we've legit done from scratch. You get writing prompts, so you're given a line of dialogue, a character's name and their occupation, a genre, and it could be everything from like a coming of age film to a musical to like a horror comedy, dark comedy, romance, drama, anything, a holiday film, vacation film. We've gotten really weird ones in the past. So you get given your character name and occupation, line of dialogue, genre, and a prop.
Okay.
And by definition, because some people will just put the prop in the scene, but the actor has to touch it. If the actor doesn't touch it and pick it up and interact with it physically, then it's not a prop, it's set design or it's set dressing.
Okay.
So, like for one time, the prop was an avocado.
Okay.
And the scene was people were cutting up vegetables and the avocado was on the table. And when I saw it, I was like, that's not a prop. But I know, right? And then you have to take these things and you have to write a script. So Friday night at like 7:00, you get given all of this stuff. You have to write a script. You have to film it. You have to edit it. You have to finish it. You have to export it. And you have to submit it. It has to be a 5 to 7 minute film. And it has to be turned in by 7:00 on Sunday night. So you have 48 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. To start, do it, and finish the entire thing. Sometimes it's very obvious that the people who did it had something completely else in mind, like planned ahead of time. And like you're watching the film and then like all of a sudden the required character shows up saying the line of dialogue and holding the prop and then they leave and it had nothing to do with the story. And you're like...
That's how they cheat? That's how they cheat the system?
Or like one guy literally said in the Q&A panel after the screening, he was like, yeah, it only took us like 45 minutes to write the script because we had so many meetings before the weekend, like lining up stories for different genres, that our writer just took 45 minutes to write it. And in my head, I was like, if I had like hours of meetings writing stories, I would have written my script in 45 minutes too. Like, okay. So the way my husband and I do it is we get the information and then we immediately just start like spitballing, like, okay, so, and we usually try to make it very obvious. Like the story, we had one called Sound Off, which it's one of my favorite films that we've made. We were given a silent film. And as soon as we got silent film, I asked, can the line of dialogue be in sign language? Because one of my best friends is an ASL teacher. And
nice.
I was like, I'm like, silent film, we can capitalize on this. And they said yes. And we thought the key character was supposed to be a former child star. And I swear that's what they said. They said, no, it was supposed to be an actor, not a star. And I was like, oh. So we made them a former child dancer. So what we did was, it was about a dancer who had lost her hearing and had to learn how to dance again without being able to hear. So part of the movie was in sign language. Part of it was in like texting, like typing on a phone. And it basically was about this girl having to rediscover music through vibrations and learning how to dance. And then in the end, it ended with this like big choreographed dance. And the way we did it was we take turns doing 48. So my husband was directing that one. I ended up with a co-director credit because I like directed pieces of it. But like while my husband was out with the girl, we had two actresses who were sisters who are both professional dancers. And I was like, great, we can have the young girl dancing as like a shadow behind the other girl, kind of like showing her past self dancing with her. So while my husband was filming one part of the movie, I was working with the girl and choreographing the dance. And then the other actress came back, learned the dance from her sister. We filmed another part. And then like we filmed the dance. Like it was like we were just kind of like tag teaming it. The end of that long story, I can skip to the end, is basically when they saw the film, we didn't get nominated for anything except for a judge's mention for choreography and the score, which was all original music that we used. And like, obviously, like at that point, we were fairly more seasoned as filmmakers. We understood what makes a good film. We'd been to a lot of festivals. And it wasn't like we were going in there like, you know, oh, we're going to win. But we were really proud of our work. And it was a little weird that we got nothing. Nothing. Like we were shut out of everything. And when we asked, the judges basically said that in so many words that there was no way we made that film in 48 hours. It basically was too good. Like
wow.
They said we cheated.
Oh, that is such a stab in the heart. Oh my God.
Yeah. It's weird. We were really hurt at first because like to be accused of doing something like that, especially when you are so meticulously careful to not cheat, you know what I mean? Like, so that hurt a little bit, but after we were like, you know, got some distance from it, now, like we kind of like, to us, that's our award. Like our award is that the judges thought that judges thought we were too good. And it was weird. It was us and one other film. Honestly, I think the other film should have won like everything. And it was nominated for like nothing. And I'm like, I bet they probably thought the same thing. Like they took the two best films and just disqualified them. And I was like, yeah. So that was an experience. But yeah, that's the 48-hour film project.
Well, awesome. Tell us just a little bit about your podcast and then where can people find you guys or see your stuff?
Like you, we can be found on Anchor.
Yay!
Yay, Anchor. It was so smart that you went to Anchor, Heather.
I know. Where did I get that idea? It's a mystery. You're came to me one day.
Naturally brilliant. So the my podcast is called Filmmaking Actually, and I talk about all the random bits and pieces of filmmaking and everything I wish I knew when I started. And I've had people tell me that it's useful for like random things that isn't film related, because like I'll talk about business or I'll talk about like following your dreams, not in like a weird like you just got to do it, man. Just like don't let anyone tell you no. Just like just do it. Like you can do it. Just do it. Like I try to be a little more practical than that. But yeah, so that's our podcast. And then our website is spacedreamfilms.com. And you can also check us out on Instagram at Space Dream Productions. And I should be clear, it's single space, single dream, plural films or plural productions.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Okay, perfect. So Space Dream Productions is our Instagram and also our Facebook. And then we've got various projects on Instagram. There's Catching the Light movie, Comic Relief movie. Another Angle Photography is actually also us. And then those are also Facebook pages. We have way too many things to keep track of. It's kind of obnoxious. I'm sorry.
It's fantastic. Awesome. We'll put it all in the show notes. So anyone listening wants to check it out, they can. Guys, it's time for the topic of the week.
Oh, wow.
Instances or specific occurrences that really made you wonder about someone. Okay. Now, if you have an answer to this as our special guest, we will, of course, let you go first.
See, I had a question about your question.
Okay.
So, like, by wonder about someone, you mean, like, question their mental stability or
Yes.
like, okay, or like, or just wonder if maybe they're not a good person or, okay. So like
Well,
wonder
or in
like,
any way. Okay, let me start the ball rolling.
Yeah,
I'll give
go
you
for
an
it. Go for
example.
it. Give me all the
This
examples.
is just not a serious story.
Okay.
I had been married to my husband for about 2 years. We had a very young child. We still have her. She's just not as young now. And he starts talking to me. We started like daydreaming about like family road trips and stuff, right? And vacations. And he says to me, "Oh, I can't wait till she's a little older and we can go camping." And I thought to myself, oh God, what have I done? Who have I married? What is going on right now? FYI, I cannot stand camping. It is perhaps my least favorite activity to do on God's green earth. But here's what happened. He saw the look of abject terror on my face and he went, honey, we would take an RV. Like, I didn't have to say anything. I was like, such a huge sigh of relief. I was like, thank God. Unbelievable. Oh, so
that's where you know someone knows
any
you.
kind of story. Exactly. So I started to wonder, but then the situation was saved in the next sentence. Do you have one? You don't have to have one. You don't have to have
So the
one.
funny thing is, like, the now that I'm thinking about it, so like I have a very wide network of people that I either know like personally or I've worked with or interacted with or like part of like a social circle or whatever. So there's definitely people who I've encountered where I'm like, what part of your brain makes this okay? Like how, like what processing power are you using for mental computations that has you arrive at a solution of this? Like something is wrong in your mental process. I will say, I mean, I could just take the easy route and say the lady that tried to back me over with her car on Sunday.
Yeah. Tell us about that. I'm sorry. I totally forgot to, oh my God. You got run over by a car like 2 days ago. And I'm like, who cares about that?
No, I'm doing a lot better. I had my back worked on and stuff. I got checked out. No. So this lady, opened her car into my, She opened her door into my car, which is kind of like shopping lot, whatever, parking lots, shopping lot. Like parking lot basics. You park too close to somebody, you open your car, you're going to hit their car with your door. It's going to cause a scuff. It's annoying. Has to get fixed, whatever. When it happened, I was literally sitting in the driver's seat and I look over at her and she was kind of like, and I was like, so I get out and come around to her and she was like, and I was like, hi. I was like, you just banged my car. Anyway, she tried to like act like she didn't. And I was like, I'm literally sitting right here. Like you did it right in front of me. I felt the impact. And she's like, and then I opened her door and lined it up with like the white scuff going down my door. And she goes, oh. I was like, can I get your information? And she was like, well, your door's already damaged. And she's right, because someone backed into my car. And I said, yes, I'm actually about to get it fixed. And I don't know if this is going to be more expensive now. Can I just get your info? And she goes, people like you are what drives up insurance rates. And I was fairly, you think of good comebacks later. I was fairly proud of myself. I got one good comeback in. I said, and people like you are why other people think there's no good people left in the world. Like, I was just mad. Anyway, so she's like, no. She's like, if you want my info, you have to call the police. And I was like, in my head, I was like, in what universe do you think I'm not going to call the police? Like, yeah. Okay. So I asked, should I call the police or should she? And she was like, yeah, go ahead, call them. Like I wasn't going to. So so I'm like, okay. So I dial 911 and I'm like, I'm so sorry to bother you with this, but this woman won't give me her information unless an officer comes out. And while I'm talking to them, I step away because it was really windy. And I look up and she's freaking leaving. And I'm like, hey. So I go running behind her car a good distance. And I'm like, hey, stop. And she keeps backing up. And I'm like, hey, stop. at which point I then freak out and she keeps backing up and I'm like I didn't know what to do, like to leave. Like I didn't know if I took a step sideways, would she back up faster because she thought I was out of the way? And then in my like trying to adjust my body weight against the crushing impact of an SUV, I tripped and fell like a graceful swan. And,
yeah, that's my first thought. That's how I would have described it. Yes.
Right.
Gracefully falling. Go on.
On the ground. And then at that point, I just started screaming at the top of my lungs because there was an SUV slowly heading towards my face and I didn't know if she could see me on the ground. And then people came over and blah, 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 blah. And like this guy like made her stop. And the first thing I heard was a woman say, "Oh yeah, I saw her run behind your car. I saw her put herself there and then she threw herself on the ground." Ugh. And I was like already in the mental like trauma of watching a large, like several, I don't even know how much a car weighs, a ton, like a giant piece of metal and machinery like heading towards my face. And it took a lot to like get me to like calm down. And then the first thing she did is she called 911 and was like, "This crazy girl's trying to stage an accident." And I was like,
"Oh my God, what did you get yourself into?" God.
Literally, like,
what?
I need, I know how like I need inspiration for movies, but I don't need that much inspiration. And then when the cops came, they were like, "So why were you behind her car?" And I was like, "I was trying to keep her from going." They're like, "Well, you shouldn't have been standing there." And at the time,
did you explain
I was like,
the earlier situation? Okay.
And when the thing is, they talked to her first because they wanted the paramedics to check me out. And I was like, "Whatever, I'm fine. Like, just leave me alone." Like, I just didn't want her to run me over. And I like, at the time when they were like, "You shouldn't have been behind her car," I was like, yeah, no, totally. Like, yeah, I was just trying to stop her. Like, I get it. I shouldn't have been there. I'm so sorry. And in hindsight, I was like, in what universe is the fact that she saw me there and continued to back up not the problem? Like,
I know, that's weird. That is weird.
I was like, wait a minute. I'm the problem. Like, she damaged my car, demands I call the police, tries to leave. I try and stop her. She tries to run me over. I'm the bad guy. So it was kind of like a series of moments where I was like, what world am I in right now? And how did these people come to these conclusions? Like, it was just, and she was literally like this little old lady. Like, she wasn't even like,
oh,
she was
I was
like
picturing some like young chick with a ton of tattoos and a cigarette.
She was like 5'3" on vacation at the beach because we were out of town. We were house sitting for somebody and I'd gone to go pick something up. And yeah, no, she's a little old. She was a little old lady. I have a picture of her on my phone, but it's a podcast. That doesn't mean anything to anybody. Yeah, little old lady with a perm.
I'll put it in the show notes.
Yes.
Take that, little old lady.
Okay, Ryan, tell your story. I feel bad now too.
Ryan, you have permission to speak now.
Thank you. First of all, one thing that happened to me last week that made me question somebody was somebody told me that pineapple doesn't belong on pizza.
Wait, is that you?
It was me.
Heather.
I am now questioning the sanity of two of my dearest friends. And one of them's my brother. Unfucking believable, you guys. Unbelievable.
All right.
If you make it right, it's really good.
Yeah. So that happened last week on our last episode. And that just made me question everything about Heather.
That one thing, you've known me your whole life. That was the thing that made him question. Go on.
You know, if I thought really hard, I might be able to come up with another good story about you, Heather. Don't make me do it.
Go ahead.
All right. This is for my oldest kid. When she was about, I want to say she was about 7 or 8 years old, right around there. I was doing a spring cleaning and cleaning the house and was totally not confronting the kids' room because it's a children's room. I just didn't want to handle it. So, I get through this whole house and I'm like, fuck, I'm just going to just going to do it, So I get in there, I start cleaning stuff up. And as I'm pulling garbage out and throwing stuff away, I pull out this shoebox. And so I was like, oh, okay, what's in this? So I open it up, and it's just like a bunch of just random stuff that she's collected and thrown in here, So I start sorting through it to see what's in there. And I pull out a lock of hair and then a chicken bone. And I looked at my child like, what are you doing at night? Are there candles around here that I need to know about? What is happening? And to this day, she still has it under her bed in that
the chicken
box.
bone and the lock of
14 years old now, she still has her lock of hair and a chicken bone.
Did she ever tell you whose hair it was and why she had it with a chicken bone?
I think it was her hair. At some point, Rebecca had trimmed her hair and she snagged a lock of it and kept it. It wasn't even her first haircut or anything like that. She was, and she had it underneath her bed since she was like 5, apparently. So, that tells you about how long it took me to clean their room.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And then my third one, also real quick, I saw that Highlander was free to watch on Comcast. And I was like, that's it. I was like, girls, come down here. You're watching Highlander. So we're playing this movie. And so I don't know if you remember the main bad guy from Highlander, the Kruger.
I don't remember. It's been way too long.
I believe it's the Krug. Who also, side note, does the voice for Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob SquarePants. Didn't know if you knew that. But anyway, my youngest was sitting there rooting for him the whole movie. And I had to question her about that,
I can balance that with a cute kid story if you want it. It's fairly short.
Sure.
My, and I didn't wonder about this because it just seemed very apropos for my family. So my sister has kids, and we'll call, there's 2 boys and a girl, and we'll call the middle boy Freddie, and the little girl, we'll call her
Isabel.
And we'll call the little girl Isabel. There you go. The oldest son comes running into his mom's room, and this is when Isabel was like 1.5-ish. So Freddie was like 3-ish. And the oldest was 5-ish. So the oldest comes running in, and he's like, Mom, Freddie's coloring. And she's like, cool. And he's like, no, Mom, he's coloring. Like really disturbed that his little brother was coloring. And she's like, okay. And he's like, but he's using your markers. Like, I guess she had like Sharpies or something. And she's kind of like, okay, like still trying to understand what part, like, okay, he's not really supposed to use those, but if he's like coloring in a coloring book, whatever, who cares, like trying to figure out, okay, what is the problem here? And her oldest son is like clear panic attack. And she's like, what is happening? Like trying to understand. And finally she goes, what's he coloring? And the oldest kid goes, Isabel. And she goes running downstairs, and there's her like 1-year-old sitting there covered in like scribble scrabble, like her whole body. And the little brother is like just anyway. So she's like, you couldn't have led with that. So that's one of my favorite kid stories.
That's fantastic. All right. Guys, we're going to play Your Worst Nightmare. It's going to be uplifting. Here we go. Here's the deal. I've got an entire stack of these cards. I'm going to take 4 of them out of the deck at random. On each one of the Your Worst Nightmare cards, there is a nightmare. They've written a nightmare.
Why do you have these cards?
Sometimes it's just a single word like bees.
Okay.
That's a nightmare. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to name these. Now, this is where we have to keep notes, so get ready. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to play 3 rounds of this, okay? So who wants to be the first victim? Any volunteers?
I'll volunteer because I'm the guest. I feel like it's part of my duty.
That sounds like a nightmare.
I was trying to be politely let the guest defer to the guest, and she's like, it's my job.
I'm here for you, Heather.
I'm so glad you're here. Thank you. All right, so here's what me and Ryan are going to do. I'm going to name out these 4 nightmares.
Okay.
Are you ready? Take these down, Ryan. Drowning, giving blood,
Giving blood?
bed bugs, ghosts. Now, you and I, Ryan, are going to decide which is Koura's greatest fear and which is her least great fear out of these 4 nightmares.
All right, this is easy. I already know.
Okay.
Yeah, I got... And don't try to botch this. Like, don't be like, oh, I know he knows what I know, and then do something else.
I'm not that psychic. I just put my little order down right here. You tell your order.
Oh, do I have to put it in order?
Yeah, you have to go. It has to be like worst nightmare to, oh, well, no, let's do this. Do least nightmarish to most nightmarish. But in regards to Koura, what's her least nightmare to her worst nightmare? Well, first we have to find out, do you know, Koura? Are you ready for us to?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm feeling like, oh no, people can like listen to this and they'll know what to torture me with. This is terrible.
You know, I don't really think things through before I just see a game on the shelf. I'm like, sounds fun. Your worst nightmare?
Okay, my last two I'm not sure about.
Okay, I'll go first while you decide.
Okay.
Here's what I think it is. I think drowning.
Drowning is the worst or the least?
No, drowning's the worst. Never mind. The least is ghosts. I put ghosts as the least.
Okay.
Giving blood as the next. Bed bugs. And then drowning, worst nightmare. Mainly because drowning ends in death, whereas the other ones don't end in death. The ghost starts with death, but that's somebody else's death.
So, I did giving blood as the least, ghosts as the next least, bed bugs as the second, and drowning as the first. I'm right.
You are righter than Heather.
Okay, but is he all the way right? I mean...
No.
Are bed bugs and drowning reversed?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So, my grandmother taught me how to swim when I was very little. Like, I don't remember not knowing how to read, but I remember, like, I don't have memories of, like, learning to read and, like, opening books and not knowing what it says. Like, all of my earliest memories of books, I know what they say.
Yeah.
But I was so young when I learned how to dive. All I remember is standing on this red and white squiggly thing on the edge of the pool. Like, that's how little I was. That when I went back years later and I went to the spot that I learned how to dive, it was a red sign that in white letters said no diving.
There you
so
go.
So that's how long I've been swimming. So I'm definitely, I don't like the idea of drowning, but I'm a fairly strong swimmer and I know how to deal with undertow. Like, it's something that I'm familiar with. Mm-hmm. So it's not like something that's anxiety inducing for me. So at the very bottom, giving blood, I would give blood all the time if I could. It does not bother me whatsoever.
Okay.
I think people, I would give more blood if I could. So I was like, but I guess you're right. It is a nightmare for some people.
I wanted to add something to what you were saying about strong swimming, because I too learned how to swim at such a young age and also could outswim Heather when we were very little. Just FYI.
I have no memory of that.
But yeah, because your memory sucks. We all know that. But that's neither here nor there.
Ouch.
So not to like make a nightmare more of a nightmare, but like, yeah, I'm a strong swimmer. But just imagine you're driving along and all of a sudden you go careening off a bridge and you hit water and somehow you get trapped in your car and you can't escape and you're fully conscious. Strong swimming is not going to help you from drowning.
I literally have a knife in my car for that reason, because I've seen so many movies where people's seatbelts won't open.
Okay, so what if you're driving along, minding your own business, and somebody T-bones you from the side, and your leg gets pinned, and the door can't open? You've cut your seatbelt, and you smashed your window, but you can't unpin your leg.
She has the knife. She cuts the leg off. It's simple.
I mean, it definitely would
You're
suck.
not a strong
I don't
swimmer with
think-
one leg while you're bleeding out.
So,
We just gave you this. Thanks for making this game even worse. God.
so I haven't even gotten through my list. So giving blood, I don't care about.
Okay.
Ghosts, I'm scared of. Definitely. That is not something that but I'm also not scared of them. Like, it just depends on where my head is at that particular moment and how scary the ghost is.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
It does.
Above that is drowning, Ryan. I am afraid of drowning, but it's not like on a scale of all of these things. If I had to pick the worst fear of all of those, I would say bed bugs, because I once lived in an apartment that had bed bugs.
Yeah.
And they were not in my bed. They were in somebody else's bed. And what we had to go through to get rid of them was so extreme
It's a
and
nightmare.
so horrible. And because it was an apartment building, you could fix one apartment and then it would move. The bed bugs would just run away to the other apartment. And then when that one apartment was better, if you fumigated or whatever you did, the bed bugs would just come back. You had to do the entire building, which means getting agreement from every single person and coordinating every single person in the entire building. And they do not die.
No.
And they never bothered me, but my roommate who had them in her bed was allergic or something, and she looked like she had some disease. Like, she was just covered in welts all over her body. And I literally, if I'm in a hotel room and I see a bug, I will literally not just kill it. I will if it's a little, I will inspect it and make absolutely sure it was not a bed bug. Because if I bring a bed bug back into my house,
oh God.
You know what you're supposed to do when you go to hotels?
What's that?
Is you're actually supposed to pull the mattress up and look underneath it for little spots of blood.
Oh.
Because that's a dead giveaway that they've got bed bugs.
Good
and
note.
murders. Yeah.
Or murderers.
Okay. So you guys are doing this for me. So here they are. We have cubicles. Crypts.
Crypts? Like Crypt Keeper?
Yes, like Tales from the Crypt. Charlie horses.
Are these alphabetical?
That might have been how they came, and I didn't shuffle them very well. Getting
Zebras.
tickled.
Oh, sorry, what?
Getting tickled.
And this is for you?
For me.
Okay, I got my order.
Me too.
All right, Koura, you go first.
All right. So I think that out of those four things, the things you are the least afraid of is cubicles.
Okay.
And then crypts, and then Charlie horses, and then getting tickled. Out of those four, your worst is getting tickled.
I did cubicles for least, then crypt, then tickle, then Charlie horses.
And I went back and forth on that order, but I feel like I remember you hating being tickled, but that could also be very old information.
We've got a winner. It's Koura. You were exactly right. That's the exact order that I have these things in. I absolutely cannot effing stand getting tickled. I hate it so much.
I thought so.
Well done. See, I went in my order because I'm the same way, but for me, I was I wonder if she gets Charlie horses like I do, because I get Charlie horses really bad, and it's always in the middle of the night, and it'll wake me up out of a dead sleep, and I'll get them, and it's always in the same leg, in the thigh, and it takes 20 to 30 minutes for it to go away. And it's the absolute worst.
Yeah.
And I also absolutely hate getting tickled, but I hate Charlie horses worse. So,
well, I have in my 20s, I got Charlie horses sometimes nightly for weeks in a row, and it was so unpleasant. What I figured out to do is just get out of bed and walk around.
I've done all that.
So I got it right.
Crypts or whatever. Crypts are probably scary at night, if there's a lot of like haunting mythology surrounding it. Otherwise, I don't really feel that scared of crypts, and cubicles don't bother me at all. I would feel at home in a cubicle. A cubicle's a dream come true for me.
You know what I really would love to do someday?
What's that?
I want to do like ghost hunting, but I want to go to like some place that is like the most haunted, like that I see on all these ghost hunting shows where like they're like freaking out. I want to go there.
So there's an abandoned hospital in LA that's used as a filming location, and it's known for being haunted, and it's used as a filming location constantly. And there's one particular floor that was like the mental health wing, basically, like the psychiatric portion of the hospital. And it is like notoriously uber haunted. One of my friends was working as a lighting guy, and they needed him to stage a light. And the place he had to put it was on that floor. So he had to go up by himself in the middle of the night to put this light there. And he looked down the hallway, and it was like this kind of cool, creepy looking thing. So he took a picture.
Uh-huh.
And at the end of the hallway, I've seen these photos on his cell phone. There was literally a face.
Wow.
And he was like, it's a dust mite, it's a mote, it's something, let me turn off the light. So he took another picture. And the face was still there. He turned off his headlamp, face was still there, turned the flash off on his phone, took a picture, the face was still there. And when you zoom in on it, it is clearly a face. He was like, I've never gotten out of somewhere. So like, he was just like, nope, I'm done.
You
I'm
need
out of
to
there.
acquire those pictures and send them to me.
I can ask if he still has them. This was like,
because that would be awesome to see.
7 years ago. Yeah, I'll ask if he still has them. He may have even put them on his social media.
If he did, they're viral.
I can look.
When I watch these ghost hunting shows, like I'm always so skeptical because like you don't know if these people are like staging,
right?
You know, I mean, like
yeah,
on these channels. So it's like I always watch them super skeptical, like, but like I'm not skeptical about ghosts. Like, you know, I know that they exist. Obviously, well, obviously, but
it is obvious. It's obvious.
You know, so it's like I'm not skeptical that these things can happen, but I'm just skeptical of what I see on TV. And it's like I'd love to experience that for myself.
That makes sense. You should be.
I know what hospital you're talking about because I was an extra in a movie at that hospital. But and then also on the note of hospitals, I did renovations in St. Louis at an old hospital, and we're renovating the place. And they sent me to go take out some lighting, funny enough, but to go take out some lights and like whatever floor, whatever wing. And I was up there, and it was just like the most eeriest feeling. It was like, it just, you know, it was a totally different feeling in that area. And it just like kind of got like like you could feel eyes on you, and you like look around and you don't see anything. I'm like, whatever, you know, so I take out the lights, and I was telling this guy, you know, like it was super weird. It felt like there was like people watching me, but like I didn't see anybody around. And he's like, oh yeah, he's like, that was the mental health wing. And like one of the rooms I was in was like a padded cell, which was like where like I felt the worst, you know, crazy stuff.
That's crazy. I was filming in Louisiana, and we had to film a night shoot. We were told like this place is definitely haunted. Don't go like beyond where you're filming. Like just be safe, be careful, and don't be surprised if weird things happened or if you see funny things while you're out here at night. And I remember I had to go to the bathroom, and it was basically like a porta potty, but it made to like, I feel like it wasn't like a porta potty. It was like it was kind of like an outhouse, but it was like a actual toilet inside with like plumbing. And I remember just like focusing all of my attention because I was directing. So I didn't have the time to not be focused. So I remember like just trying so hard to stay focused on like the scene and the set and what we were doing. And at one point I had to go to the bathroom, and to get there, I had to walk like through like the pitch black to like get to where the toilet was. And I remember just thinking to myself, like, you know, I've been there in the daytime a couple times. I knew my way around, and I was like, so like focused on like what it is. And then like afterwards, the girl that was doing wardrobe is like super like sensitive to like ghost stuff. And she's like, oh, that place was so haunted. She's like, that place was so haunted. And I was like, oh, I'm glad I didn't see anything because I don't know if I could have handled it like alone in the dark by myself in the middle of like Louisiana where you're like so far away from cities.
Yeah.
There isn't even like atmospheric
Oh,
light.
God.
Like it's just
Yeah.
dark. You know, it was like that dark. It was, yeah. I'm very glad that we had no crazy, but we also were like filming around like a campfire. So like we had a lot of light in like our area, but yeah, that was some craziness. Okay, good. So yeah, I feel like I just totally diverged the conversation with random things that have nothing to do with what we're talking about.
That's okay. That's what we do on this show.
Are we ready for one more round?
Yes, let's do Ryan.
Yes.
Okay, Ryan, here's your nightmares. Abandonment.
I already thought of a really funny story.
Tell me. I want to hear it.
No, it has to do with abandonment.
So why can't you tell it?
So, okay. So it's a quick story. So when we were kids, I don't remember what happened first. Okay, I think what happened first. Okay, hold on. So I'm going to tell you the funny part first is, so we were getting ready to go somewhere, and I don't think it was like anywhere that was really far away, like maybe like a town over. And I was sitting there dilly-dallying like I always do. Mom and Dad and you left the house and got in the car, and Dad started up the car, and I came flying out the door in tears, freaking out that you guys were going to leave me. And Dad was just like, why are you like this? He's like, we're not leaving you here. I was just starting the car. And I get in the car, you know, doing the thing, trying not to like cry anymore after I realized that Dad and Mom weren't trying to abandon me and take you away and go live a new life forever away from me. But I did that because there was a time where I missed a field trip and the bus was like leaving, and like so at our school, you know, we're like getting ready to go and all the kids loaded on the bus, and I was doing something that prevented me from getting on the bus, and the bus left without me, and I was sitting there running behind the bus, like freaking out, trying to wave it down, and apparently nobody saw me, or they saw me and they were just like, screw this guy, bye. So I was very upset over that, and so anytime Mom and Dad got in the car and started up the car and I wasn't in it yet, it was a thing.
Yeah, here's what you don't know about that. Because of your dilly-dallying, and because we all knew that you would come running out of the house post-haste if we started the car, if you were ever taking too long, Dad would just look back at me and look at Mom, and we'd nod, and he would just start the car to get you to come out of the house.
That's both amazing and terrible.
And you think I'm the favorite child? Dad intentionally traumatized me throughout my childhood just to get me to come out to the car, and I'm the favorite child?
You would take so damn long. I don't even know what you were doing in there. You would take like 20 minutes and come out with a blanket and pillow, and we'd be like, why did it take 20 minutes?
I was probably gluing fucking jewels back on my trolls. Because that's what Mom caught me doing one time.
Okay, fantastic. Number 2 is cruise ships. Choking. Chatty plane neighbors. Chatty, like on an airplane, chatty passenger next to you. I think I've got this all worked out.
Oh, do you?
Yep.
I kind of feel like if I don't put abandonment at the top after that whole spiel, then I'm doing it wrong.
So I do think that...
Wait, don't say anything because we have to guess.
I mean, after that spiel, you would think that it would be number 1, but it's not number 1.
Well, see, this is what's funny is that's what I thought. I was like, I feel like it is, but it isn't.
Well, here's what I think your order is, okay?
Hold on, wait. I haven't even decided what my order is yet. I'm still thinking this is actually kind of hard.
Heather, start the car. I'm Sorry.
If he still did that now, oh my God.
This is actually really hard.
Heather and I are like, we're done already. We already decided what your views
Okay,
are.
all right. I got my order.
Okay.
Shoot.
Koura, go ahead as the guest.
I said the least is cruise ships. Because I feel like you probably would like if it was like a nice cruise, I feel like you probably would like that. And I put that under chatty plane neighbors because while I feel like you could enjoy yourself next to a chatty person, at the end of the day, if you really wanted them to shut up and it was a really long flight, it would probably be kind of annoying. And then I had to put abandonment because if after that whole long story, abandonment was less scary than those other two things, then clearly I have no idea what I'm talking about. And then I put choking because after your graphic, vivid descriptions of drowning, I felt like you must have like complete horrors of the possibilities of various types of choking and resultant death. So that is my order and my reasoning behind it. I rest my case. Just kidding.
I've got chatty plane neighbors as the least nightmarish thing. Then cruise ships. Then abandonment. And then choking. And I have choking at the top because you almost did choke to death one time.
I did. Were you there for that?
I can't remember if I was there or if you told me the story later. I can't remember. I honestly can't. Like, I have a vivid memory of it in my mind, but that might just be your memory because you painted such a vivid picture when you told the story.
Well, I can tell you that story again. But, however, I will say that you're both wrong.
Ugh.
Because
Wait, what?
I put cruise ships and chatty plane neighbors tied at number 3.
Okay.
And
But I know that we're both right because both of us have cruise ships and chatty plane neighbors as the bottom.
but you didn't know I was going to tie them, so I threw you guys for a loop.
Doesn't matter. They're the bottom two. That's cheating. Nope. Heather and I got that right. Okay, what's next?
And then, yes, abandonment, and then choking.
Sweet.
So Heather and I each won.
We both
Yay.
won.
We both won.
Congratulations, I played myself.
All right. Well, that has been the riveting and uplifting Your Worst Nightmare. We'll put a link to where you can get that game in the show notes. Not a sponsor. Too bad, because we just free advertised for them for like 20 minutes. Anyway.
Right.
Koura, so
Yes,
what we like to end with is some free advice. So as our guest, if you have any advice that you would like to leave everybody with, feel free. If not, we'll think of something. We always do.
If you want something you've never had, you must do something you've never done. And if you want something that no one's ever had, you must do something that no one has ever done.
That is beautiful advice. That's better advice than we've ever given anyone on this podcast.
Yes, that is the solidest advice we've ever had on this show. Well done.
I mean, I feel like it probably I got it from a Facebook meme. I kind of feel like that's where it came from. But my great uncle used to say, if you do what's easy, life will be hard, and if you do what's hard, life will be easy. And it's sort of like a continuation off of that. That and my aunt sends me like quotes all the time, and she got me a little quote calendar for the year. So like I always have random quotes like coming at me. I get emails with quotes. So I have no idea where that advice came from. I can't take credit for it, but that is my free advice to all who listen.
That's awesome. And I remembered what I was going to say.
No, I already said my ending.
It's fine. I'll fade out. Go on.
Yeah, it'll fade out.
Probably will, but I want to hear this.
While I finished getting the giggles out, while I was waiting, my husband made me snacks, and I ate like a plate of like fish sticks and apple and pear, like a little kid, like munching.
That's fantastic. That's how long it took us. He prepared an entire meal, and then you ate it.
Sure wish I had some food in my stomach, Heather.
And I didn't let Ryan go get anything to eat. I didn't let him go.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait, you guys aren't in the same place though. How did you stop him from going?
Well, we got on the recording a little earlier to make sure everything was set up correctly, which we obviously did a terrible job of. And he wanted to go eat something because you weren't ready yet. And I was like, no, Charlie finally fell asleep. We're doing this.